This is chapter 7 and 8 summaries. So chapter 7 really focused on business ethics and how business ethics affects business law. So for business ethics, that's basically determining right from wrong. And each business within itself has a social responsibility, which is basically saying that a business and the community around it are codependent. And if one thing happens to the business, like if the business is giving off harmful emissions, it affects the community around it. And then the theories of ethical thought. So there's the consequential theory, which has two sub-schools, which is act utilitarians and rule utilitarians. So the act utilitarians basically just determine right from wrong by determining whether it brings happiness to society or not. And then the rule utilitarians determine right from wrong by whatever applicable rule has been established by representatives. That's what they believe should be followed. Then there's the deontological theory, which thinks that is basically just treat others how you want to be treated. And then the humanist theory basically just is determining right from wrong by how the action contributes to the intelligence, wisdom, and self-restraint of society. The book also states that productivity, efficiency, and profit contribute to most businesses' code of ethics in some way, shape, or form. And then just a side note, like your individual ethics can often collide with the business's ethics, but it's always up to you to decide what is most important to you and whether you want to step away from that business because of their code of ethics, or if you believe in their ethics and potentially want to change yours to more coincide with your business's ethics. Chapter 8 talks a lot about international business and international trade. It starts out with the dimensions of international business, which there are 4 different types, which is political dimensions, which deals with the different types of government. So this can be democratic all the way to communism. And then economic dimensions, just the differences in size and economic growth rates of nations, availability of supplies, availability of disposable income, and transportation infrastructure. Then there's the cultural dimensions, which are the common values, traditions, and norms of societies. And then legal dimensions include businesses have to follow the rules of their own country, the country that they trade in with, and international law. Trade between nations has led to a lot of bribery and corruption just because of the different laws, especially in the US. A lot of companies are outsourcing to other countries because it's cheaper. They can get cheaper labor and everything like that. Methods of engaging in international and business include trade, international licensing and franchising, and foreign direct investment. For international trade, there's the absolute advantage and comparative advantage. And originally, the absolute advantage was kind of more sought after. And that's when nations focusing on what goods they produce most efficiently. Now it's kind of more sought after to do a comparative advantage, which is producing specialized products more efficiently than others. So as long as they can produce something better than the other country that's producing it, it's still in their best interest to produce it themselves. The risks of international business include currency controls and fluctuations, expropriation, which is when a host country government takes private property for private or economic reasons, and then the sovereign immunity doctrine and the active state doctrine increase the risk even more of doing business in a foreign country, as the sovereign immunity doctrine states that governments cannot be sued without its consent, and then the active state doctrine basically says a state must respect other states' independence when in court. The 2 major trade organizations include the World Trade Organization and the European Union, which just basically regulates trade between nations. And the 2 main methods of international dispute resolution is litigation and arbitration.